Hi, commenting on Ujmo Flipper's trans comments. Um, I'm not even going to comment on the subject matter of people being transgendered, gender queer, gender fluid, and all sorts of gender identities. Because frankly, I don't think that you actually meant to talk about gender identity in your first video. You did talk about it, but you used some rather provocative words. Um, you tend to portray yourself as a person who is against stupidity, like against things like the quiver full movement, and against things like oh, religious fundamentalism, things of that nature, against the uh, against British people's taxes going to pay for hosting a visit by the Pope, things like that. Okay, but then you come out with a video talking about transgendered people, transsexual people, etc., and so forth. But you use some rather provocative language, like calling the doctors who do this Frankensteins, I think, something of that nature. And I couldn't get through your whole video because you're like, oh, it's since it's gender is all a social construct. These people shouldn't feel like they have to change this or that, and you weren't really, in my opinion, it wasn't like you were being somehow supportive of breaking down um, social. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It didn't look like you were trying to break down traditional gender roles so people could simply be more free to be who they really are. But it looked like you were, to me, it looked like you were trying to say that people should not be free to be who they are. But then turning around and trying to say because it's all gender is all a social construct, so the solution isn't for people to have gender reassignment surgery or anything. The solution is to break down any social constructs and, or excuse me, any social constructs regarding gender, and then those people wouldn't have this problem. Yeah. But to me, what that looked like is a lot of double talk. Um, Now, I don't know if you're transphobic or not, and frankly, I don't care. Um, if you think that I'm some kind of person who's all mixed up because of society or something, well, that's your problem. I don't care. What I think happened here, or not just here, but in your first video, is you were trolling. You were using intentionally very provocative language so people would get mired in the language, and instead of talking about society, gender roles, gender identity, perhaps even sexuality, hormones, neurochemistry, um, psychology, sociology, and all of that, people would get mired in your language and they would react and say, oh, you're transphobic. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but it looked to me like that's what you were doing with your first video. And here we go with another video that's all about words, in this case, other people's words. And I want to point out Lacey Green's comment, and I don't know if Lacey Green is being a troll or if she really thinks this way. I can't speak for her, but I wanted to pick out something in her comments because maybe she was wise to what you were doing, and she posted a comment that was also supposed to be provocative. I noticed some on her part some um, sort of, oh, what's the word? Some, verbal do-si-doing, if you will. Starting here. People shouldn't have to change their bodies to be accepted. It's just it's just it's just perpetuating the problem. So basically, it's just perpetuating the problem. That is transference of responsibility. If people have a problem with people changing their bodies, and they do, even just body modification without any gender issues. Yeah, there are people who have problems with tattoos and piercings and people putting ball bearings in their forehead and all sorts of things like that. So it's not it's not the problem of the person getting their body changed. It's many people and many members of society who have a problem with people getting their bodies changed. Okay? And the first sentence is, people shouldn't have to change their bodies. Nobody is saying, and if Lacey, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to pwn you or anything like that, okay? It's not personal. Nobody is saying that anyone should have to change their bodies. What people who do desire to change their bodies to better suit their own identity are saying that they should have the prerogative to change their bodies without getting flack for it. And I think it's, perhaps you're not meaning to be deceptive, perhaps you're not meaning to jump in on a verbal troll fest, but the way you're saying it is trying to, it's basically a very passive-aggressive strategy I've seen political pundits use, and then I've seen my mother use, and I've seen a lot of underhanded people use this strategy. They reframe the argument such that it looks like the other person is trying to be the controlling one. So it looks like the other person is trying to say, or is trying to impose their will on people. Nobody's saying that anyone has to change their bodies. What people are saying, what the argument is about, is that people should be allowed to change their bodies if they so desire. If you are what is called a cisgendered female, I'm extremely happy for you, and I would never ever suggest that you change your body. If you are genuinely happy as you are, if your body suits your gender identity on the inside, then by all means, keep it the same. I would never ever suggest that you change it, and I don't see anybody else suggesting that you do. Now, this whole thing, because this second video is all about words, going back to Ujimo Flipper, to me, this confirms my suspicion that the first video is all about words. And what you're trying to do is just to, troll YouTube, get the atheist community all in an uproar. Oh, you're not open-minded. Oh, you're not progressive. Oh, da-da-da-da-da. Well, maybe you're not. I don't know. I don't have to associate with you if you don't want to associate with me. You can think I am somehow caving to social stereotypes that have been placed upon me, and I can think that you are not seeing the real issues, and we don't have to associate with each other if we don't want. That's okay. But yeah, so this is about words. I really don't think that you're interested in gender. You're not interested in the LGBT community. Looks to me like you're interested in upsetting people. And so this is why I'm not even talking about my own experience and, my own identity, and talking about conversations I've had with people who are trans, and, some people actually identify as androgynous, or there are all sorts of gender identities. I can't even think of all of them right now, but there are just all sorts of people, like all sorts of friends that I found online that identify as so many other things. And the best term for me would be gender fluid, although I sit more in. I mostly sit comfortably in what would be mostly male. I view gender as a spectrum. So yeah. So I, but to me it's. I mean, I don't even think it's about that. I've been repeating myself. Okay. Well, before I get cut off, I will bid you all a fond farewell. And on a very topical note, know thyself. Here.